My co-op placement at the South Huron District High School Music Program by Kelsey Regier. There were 4 teachers working with us in the South Huron District High School Music Program this semester: Mr. Moore, Mr. Weston, Miss Milner, and Mr. O'Reilly. So what do we do here, you may ask? Our mission statement says, we help our students gain competency in collaboration, communication, creativity, and problem solving so our students will develop and value the required skills to participate in the global economy. In other words, we teach them the skills and lessons for the future by using the fundamentals of music. We can sum up our program to be twofold. A student must learn theory and do written tests to understand the basis behind reading and writing music. However, the fun stuff is playing instruments such as my top tasks while co-oping here had to be taking attendance at the beginning of every class, marking students absent or late, and putting it out for the office. I also made daily plans with my supervisor on material to go over with the classes. We will work together as a team to build lesson plans that best suit the class. I listened to grade 10s and 9s playing tests and gave them marks and feedback based on musical elements we were looking for, such as rhythm, tone, technique, and more. Some days I would help organize sheet music. We have to collect it from folders, sort by piece, and instrument. This is all in numerical order. It is a massively time-consuming job, and a lot of organization must be done periodically throughout the year. When Mr. O'Reilly was here in front of the class, I took some kids for some one-on-one lessons. I had to problem solve to figure out their individual weaknesses, but ultimately they improved from my lessons with them. With these one-on-one lessons, I took the initiative to learn new instruments to be better able to understand their difficulties and help. I ended up learning trumpet, French horn, and flute, in addition to the instruments I already know. I asked for the opportunity to conduct intermediate band for cabaret this year. I had to study scores and use those documents to find the best way to approach the band with a new song and help them through it. Finally, I taught class almost on a daily basis. I asked Mr. Moore for as much in front of the room time as possible, as I wanted a real experience for myself in the world of teaching. It is a lot of fun, and I am constantly learning new techniques of how to teach as well as about music itself to help me in my own studies and future. During my placement, I also had to work very independently. Some days Moore would say, "You know what to do," and leave me figuring out a plan for the day. I knew what needed to be done with the class and how to approach it after a while, making it no problem. Being in front of a class for half the day, you need to know how to be a good speaker. I have to be confident, clear with instructions, and do a lot of thinking on my feet. I always had to be a reliable source for my students with any questions, concerns, or problems they had every single day. A few tools we use here are: a music score is a conductor's tool, a compilation of all instrument parts and what they're playing. The instrument's name is shown down the side to indicate what part they play, and it visually shows us how the part fits together so we can help the band figure it out and play it. This is the most important tool to a conductor.
Practice with this. It'll make you better, right? It gives you the subdivision already. That's great. Use the tools at your disposal. So it just subdivides it out for you, and that's a pretty reasonable tempo too.
A tool we use to teach and practice theory is a website called breezinthroughtheory.com. Teachers can track students' progress and give the students a more interactive tool to learn with theory. Recordings done by a professional of the music we play give an indication of how it is supposed to sound rhythmically as well as musically. We play these during class and discuss their strengths and weaknesses and how we may improve. Students learn a lot by listening and using their ears and having a sound to strive for.
So I'm going to do a little tutorial on how to conduct. So this is a baton. It's a tool used by conductors. It has a little ball at the end which balances the weight in your hand, so it's almost weightless. So I'm going to show you a simple 4/4 pattern which is used in most music that we play here. Alright, so holding the baton, we're going to go down for the first beat. So that's beat 1 out of 4. Then my left and your right is beat 2. My right, your left is beat 3. And a bounce up is beat 4. So what this looks like in total is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's basically how you conduct 4/4 time with a baton.
Having Kelsey here in the class every day has been pretty awesome. She's been able to work with both my grade 9 and grade 10 classes almost every day, and those classes have certainly benefited from her experience.
Grade 9 class that we had, very enthusiastic, very chatty. They enjoyed to socialize. Sometimes it was a major challenge to get them focused and on task and listening. The grade 10 class they were a bit quieter, a bit harder to bring out of their shell, but they would do what you asked them to do, and you know, they generally worked fairly hard.
And also, it's just nice to have a different perspective sometimes. Music is one of those things that it's can sometimes be a little bit subjective, you know.
Having Kelsey in the classroom provided me with the opportunity to have a little more freedom.
She's got kind of like a good way, you know, of dealing with students. It's never overly negative, but it's also not overly positive. The students, I think, have reacted well to having you here. So, I mean, I think you'd be a great teacher if that's a path that you want to go down. But sometimes, as the music teacher, you are the only link for some of these students to a musical world, able to show them the beauty and the power that's behind music, you know. And I think if you think about it from that perspective and look at it from that lens and go, oh my God, like that's a lot of responsibility.
I learned that honesty is probably the best policy within the workplace. If I didn't know how to do something or I had a question, I prefer to ask Mr. Moore, and I think it's important to be comfortable enough with your boss or supervisor to be able to do that. I'd rather, if it's preventable, not make the mistakes and instead learn ahead of time and be confident in what I was supposed to be doing. And I think that's applicable to any job that you're just starting and you're not completely sure about. Another thing I learned is that hard work definitely pays off. I see a lot of students come in the room and struggle because they're the ones that don't have their book open or aren't bringing their instrument home to practice or don't use their time wisely in class. And they're not having a lot of fun because they're having a hard time. Whereas there's a lot of students that do come to class very keen, very eager, very ready to play and have exceptional skill because they are the ones that have done the work, take their instrument home and practice. And it is required to be successful. And I think that's in any area of life that you need to put in that hard work, and how much you put into it is how much you're going to get out of it for yourself. Another thing I learned from my placement is that you have to love your job. You have to love what you're doing. You're going to get the most out of it, and you're going to put your best work into it if you truly love it. I'm thankful that I get to use music, and someday, hopefully, that's my career. It's really great to know that you're going to love what you're spending half of your life doing and half of your life being known for. Your occupation is kind of your identity, and if it's not one that you're happy with, I think it's something that you really need to reevaluate and change.
I like it. Cool. Are you filming this?
Maybe.
You're the worst.
What do you really think about me?
This is what I'm talking about. Get!
What you doing?
Read my email! That's what I'm trying to do!
That's going in.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.